दादा हाँ थोड़ा सा ना ग्लिच आ गया था तो वो इवेंट क्लोज हो गया मेरे से, सो आई क्रिएटेड अनदर वन। अभी वो फिर ब्रॉडकास्ट करता हूँ। हाँ वो इवेंट ही बंद हो गया। हाँ आई हैव टू क्रिएट अनदर वन यार। उन्हीं को नहीं मैं हाँ हाँ आई गॉन गॉन लाइव। ठीक है ना, तो उसको करता हूँ जरा ब्रॉडकास्ट करता हूँ। थैंक यू।
Just write down your speech title and your name. Everyone has to do that. Sensitive as well. So Rupinder, you will be contested.
Okay.
I will be the timer. Timing cards. मेरे पास है। Okay, please give it to someone else so that they can write their title. Okay.
Just write down your name and your speech.
If you want to don't participate, you choice.
While the speech is rolling, I have a question. So, in the recent past, I have been watching the launch events of products like Apple, uh, 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 presenting or something how they are delivering. And as per my own assessment, I found that they were not the top mark. They were just average. So I don't know why. I want to uh, regarding this.
I think that if somebody speaks and thousands, millions of people from around YouTube, from around online, they get to listen to you, or they do just to listen to you, definitely not. Okay. So that's one thing. Can you turn it off on that thing? My bad. Okay, no, please. Second thing, there is no such thing as the right way of presenting. A lot of it depends on your physical attributes. For example, at my weight, I cannot run across the stage. So I compensate for that in other ways. My facial expressions are a big challenge. I compensate for my facial expressions by using vocal intonations. So it depends. So, for example, I can say that okay, the such and such speaker did not give good expressions, but the point is that the content might have been great. have to factor that in as well. Everyone done? Done? I'll just let you. So what is going to happen now is you prepared a speech. Every one of you did. And some of you are going to give that speech. Okay? The builder here has graciously agreed to be our contest chair. And he's dressed up for a contest chair as well. I am dressed up for a timer, so I'll be sitting in the audience and I'll be timing you. Now, the time is 3 minutes. In 3 minutes, you will deliver your speech. That is why I said choose the best story out of the 3 that you have chosen. Okay. So opening body should be 1 story, maximum 2 at the most. And I will show you green card at 2 minutes, yellow card at 2.5 minutes, and the red card at 3 minutes. At 3 minutes, you will not get the grace period. This thing will start ringing. When it starts ringing, everyone will start clapping. Okay? And then we'll have a collective feedback. Make sense, everyone? Whether you want that, you can take that out. Done? Okay, so the builder has a sheet. Okay, that's okay. It's okay. You can take it. No worries. Are we ready? Depends, you are at liberty to decide the speech order.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. Those masters is all about empowering. Yeah. Should feel empowered. Okay. And the rest of us are going to use our notepads to write feedback. One commendation, one recommendation for the speaker. Okay. No, it's a 3-minute speech. Just speak what comes to your mind. Just, I want to see how much you applied what you learned today. What is your message, opening, body, conclusion? That's all that I'm looking at. And what is the passion that you're bringing? Okay. So it is my pleasure to introduce the contest chair today. And our contest chair happens to be the division director of Division C, 2nd year running. Okay. So let's welcome Toastmaster Rupinder Singh on stage.
Woo! Thank you. After figuring out all the contest rules by DTM Rupinder Singh, I will quickly go on to introduce or call upon stage our first contestant. Our first contestant for the day is Toastmaster Gaurav Katia. Crisis creates opportunity. Toastmaster Gaurav Katia.
One second. Before you, if you want to carry your notes, you can. It's okay.
How many of you have been in a crisis in your life? I do.
I was in my office 5 years back in my previous office. Now, the project I was working on, the department I was working on is going to shut. I have given a chance to work on a different vertical, like a testing. I was a developer. I denied that. I don't want, because I worked around 6 years in development and I denied for testing background. So I decided, I asked them, that, please give me some technical work that is relevant to me. So after being a very long time, they decided to give me a development task that is on Java. But basically, I was C++ background, so I opted for it. I take that as a challenge. But meanwhile, I can understand that this will, like, sometimes this will basically uh, give me some like downfall in my career. So meanwhile, I started preparation for giving some job interviews. So meanwhile, I cracked Barco, and except from the Barco, I cracked 3 to 4 more companies. SC, Ingenico, Barco. There were 2 more other companies as well. So for that incident was a opportunity for me. The crisis comes in my life. My project shut down. My all the vertical shut down. It is opportunity for me. So I grab that opportunity and move on my life. This is a job crisis. Other example is your medical condition crisis. So few days back, I have a back pain, a severe back pain. So I was not very regular in exercising and something. So what I did, uh, I diagnosed with some cervical disorder. So then after, this is a crisis that I was facing. So I started exercise and uh, doing regular on a regular way. This comes as an opportunity for me. I can understand many people are facing crisis in their life. So I expect each and everybody to take it as a opportunity. When I was take it as an opportunity in my life. Thank you.
Wait, the contest here will come in.
Thank you so much, Toastmasters. Got it, yeah?
Everyone, one commendation, one recommendation.
We will give 1 minute of
Okay, you want to do one?
1 minute of break for the judges to mark their ballots. Let's observe a minute silence. One point of recommendation and 1 point of commendation.
Okay.
Our next participant, or should I say our next contestant, is Toastmaster Vidyarth, Art and Technology. Vidyaratham, Art and Technology, Toastmaster Vidyaratham.
Hello everyone.
Hello.
So I will speak about the importance of art in the field of technology. So I ask you a question: why is Apple so successful? As per a report in the market, 90%, more than 90% of the profit of entire mobile industry, Apple is eating. What is your view? Why is Apple so successful? Anyone? Definitely. So you see, there are hundreds of companies they are making mobiles. Prior to Apple, there was Nokia, who was the number one in the world for their technology. Once the Apple came into the market, it captured the complete market, and even Nokia was sold to Microsoft. So, what were the key features that Apple kept? In one of the presentations, the Steve Jobs clarified that they give a much importance to the arts and humanities in their products. They have a separate lab that emphasizes how their products should look, how they should feel, importantly. So the point is clear. Technology as a standalone element is not sufficient. You need to create an experience that is unique to your products. I have many other examples. For example, WhatsApp. Earlier to WhatsApp, there were many messaging applications. We all know Yahoo Messengers in the 90s. But WhatsApp is popular now because it is very user friendly and place any messaging app on your mobile just by clicking to the mobile number. Recognizing all these facts, even Google, they implemented material design in their products. So all of their products they are now working on the art, how to implement art in the Android operating system. Again, this is very popular operating system after Apple. So just not because it is cheap, but it is on par with the technology and the art. So, as an engineer or product developers, we should emphasize and keep in mind that art is not art is not anything that you can skip. If you want your product to be successful in the market, then this is a must-have feature in the present scenario. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let's have a round of applause for Toastmaster Vidyaratan. Our next contestant is Toastmaster, or let's observe a minute silence for them to 30 seconds for you to mark observations. Quick one point of commendations and recommendations. All done. Okay, proceeding. Our next contestant is Toastmaster Mansi Kumar. Roller coaster of life. Roller coaster of life. Toastmaster Mansi Kumar.
Good morning, everyone. I welcome you all to this wonderful trip, roller coaster of life. Life opens every day a learning door for you. It's up to us how do we go about it. When I talk about my school days, I was entered in a wonderful school. Even though it was a Hindi medium, I relished each and every lesson in the school. I was so happy. One fine day, my parents decided that I should be given a new life in an English medium school. And my life was a big challenge for me. There, I could not connect with anybody and everybody. So, it was the roller coasting that started with the downwave. Now, moving ahead, I convinced them this is not my cup of tea. That is the school. My old school was too good. I didn't want to be part of it. poor parents, I being only child at that point of time, they come to my whims and fancies and they put me back into my Hindi medium school. So from Hindi to English. Now, wonderfully, after reaching there, I realized that I do not fit here. When teacher used to ask me tables, I used to tell in English. In Hindi medium school, the entire roller coaster again started. So again, I moved back in an English medium school. So language was something which had created a lot of ripples in my life. But this language has opened many opportunities for me. I have really gained a lot in my life with the linguistic skills, even though I would not say that I'm a master of it. But yes, wherever I have gone, it has given me a welcome note with this strength of talking in English. There are other things also in life which have opened doors. That is, I wanted to learn dance. As a kid, everyone likes to do something. So I went to the dance class, and the teacher out there, he said, "Listen, you have to sit for the music class as well." And music? No. His answer was, "I'm not asking for fees. It's just that if you want to learn dance, you have to sit in the music class also." Even though I really, really wanted to get out of that class, I come there since he was a teacher out of respect that okay, I will attend it. That opened another phase. That is, I learned how soulful music is. So another art form that I learned just because of the fact that my teacher. With this, I end my speech and hand over to the artist.
30 seconds. Start right.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Mansi. Well, that's the benefit of coming to this location and being a part of this particular event. Because people on air would not get this opportunity to practice their speech. However, they can do it offline, of course.
Yeah, please do it. Send me your recording.
Yeah, send in your recordings to DTM Rupinder. He's going to give you some very fascinating feedbacks. All right. Our next contestant is Toastmaster Neha. What do you want? What do you want, Toastmaster Neha?
Claps.
Nice claps.
How many of you sit back and have a self-talk? A raise of hand? Well, that's wonderful. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Sometimes we often feel that we don't want to talk to ourselves because we don't want to get into that zone where where we get to a point that where we get to a point and know that we have to change ourselves. And this I get to know when I met this guy in Dubai. His name is Ramzan, and we just started talking. And after talking, he was very confused, and I asked him, "What do you want?" And he was confused. He didn't have any answer to that. Then I asked him, "Ramdan, just go back at your at peace, sit, relax, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, what do you want?" For me, it's very imperative to have a self-talk because self-talk give us a goal to life. Like it's in organization, we see that an organization has its vision and mission. It has its goal. So that we should also have a goal because when we have a self-talk, we set our goals. So what if I can relate it to myself? Then at night I sit and I think what I have done in the whole day. I analyze that and I ask questions to myself. If I have done any mistake, how can I correct it? If I have to ask sorry, then how I can ask them, how I can reach that person. So that's how I do self-talk. Also, I feel that we often don't do this because people feel that what if I get to know that I'm doing something wrong? What if this? What if that? And what if I tell you right now that nothing gonna hamper your privacy or nothing gonna happen like that? Are you then ready to talk about it? A raise of hand, please. Okay, let's then talk. Sit straight, relax. Close your eyes, take a deep breath. And now envision, what do you want in life? What do you expect from your life? Set your goals.
Toastmaster Neha, 30 seconds for your observation, ladies and gentlemen. 1 point of recommendation and commendation. All right. Our next participant is Toastmaster Ganesh Rawat. There is no right way to do a wrong thing. There is no right way to do a wrong thing, Toastmaster Ganesh Rawat.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Have you ever heard that there is a sport person banned from contesting due to the use of some prohibited substances? Any sport person from any background, any field, maybe cricketer, weightlifter, and any other player. Have you heard? Ma'am, you heard? Anyone else? Yes. So there are many such examples in past. We have seen, we have heard that there are sport persons because of their shortcut success. They use some prohibited substances and they got disastrous results. Just to quote few years ago, there were few players from Pakistan cricket team. They were involved in match fixing and because their cricketing career was flopped. A few years back, there were few Indian weightlifters. They were doing very good in nationals and they were caught using few prohibited substances and they were banned for the years together. Now, how many of you are fitness friendly, health conscious? Many of you. And how many of you go to gym on regular basis? And I have seen people who go to join any gym, they want to get their muscles as early as possible. Sometimes when a trainer tells them we do these steroids, they're ready. They will pay 5,000 rupees for those steroids to get quick muscles. But once you use those muscles on a regular basis, you may get good results that time, but in long term, you may get some serious health problem. I'm working currently in healthcare industry. I live at Indrapuram. Once I visited one gym, and he got to know that I'm working in healthcare industry and dealing with some medicine called insulin, with the diabetic medicine. And he's telling me that people, members in his gym, they are using insulin to get better muscles because the moment they get more just in order to get immediate digestion, they are using insulin injectables, which are meant for diabetic patient. They may go in hypoglycemia. They may get serious health problems. That's how we human beings are social animals. Our existence and spirit depends on our relationship with fellow human beings. We live in a moral, social, and well-driven framework. Therefore, there is no right way of doing wrong thing.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Ganesh Rawat. 30 seconds for everyone to make their observations.
How many more points?
We have one, two more.
Two.
Raju, yes, sir. Okay, okay. May now please call upon stage Toastmaster Archit. Precious school days, Toastmaster Archit.
Earlier, I used to hate going to school. Uh, don't like the crowd and the atmosphere the school had created in the starting of my studying period. But since along with time, as I spent more time in the school, I got to know its inside of the story of what actually it is about. It was full of enjoyment. This I realized after I spent 2 or 3 years with a good environment in that school. Of course, I was in a English medium school, so I was not having with inferiority problems. But I used to have issues with the teachers. I was a sports enthusiast, and I was an average person in the studies. So I was always lagging behind in doing the homework and submitting the courses. Since time, I I I make myself more towards the studies, but it couldn't help me so. But I keep on continuing my efforts in that, and still the problem stays with the teacher and the parents. The teacher called the parents, and I was being scolded a lot. And yeah, that's how was going on. But since after I was just when I turned over my mindset, it comes to me like there was many vacations, school trips, and the competitions, the school functions. I was missing all those times, and the most important part was my part of farewell part. The farewell part, which made give me an actual realization of what the school days were, what the school life was about, and now I sit in my college class and imagine myself imagine and wonder myself I'm still living in the school and cherish about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Archit.
30 seconds.
30 seconds to make your observations, please. Okay. Our last contestant, Toastmaster Soumya. Give your best. Give your best, Toastmaster Soumya.
I can't hit a ball. Just hit the ball, Bullet. Give your best shot. Bullet froze for a second. Contestants, Toastmasters, and respected guests, have you ever given your best shot? This takes me 5 years back when I was working for a bank and I was a teenager. And you know what is the problem of teenagers? They are like Jack. I was like that. And I tried to dabble in all the things happening around. It was time for the football tournament. And I, being Jack, wanted to captain the team with no football experience. That team, which was formed, was like a team of Avengers with one Hulk in it. And that Hulk looked exactly like the Hulk, with only the color as not green, it was black. And this Hulk looked like our own Johnny Liver. Hulk, he was very stout and well built. But the problem with him in the team was he did not know how to play football. When we trained hard, we had all the hopes of Hulk because he was strongly built. But he fared miserably bad in all the different games. We lost all the practice session matches. And we were about to give up. One day we lost miserably in one of the matches. And Hulk lost all the hopes. We got to hear all the taunts and remarks, and we thought of giving up. But something within us told, we already have suffered so much. Let's try to give our best shot forward. So we practiced hard, day and night. We even skipped offices. At the end of it, when it was time to play the football match, we were standing in the field. We got a ball. It was in front of Hulk. The goalpost was near. He was about to make the shot. But he felt that fear. Will I convert this into a goal? He shouted, I can't make it. Hit the ball, Bullet. Just hit the ball. You can make it. He gave the best shot. The ball flew and went inside the goalpost. Goal! He shouted. He came and embraced me. He told me, yeah, we have done it. I told, we have done it today. We have done it.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Soumya. With that, we conclude and we'll give you a final 30 seconds to write your observation for Toastmaster Soumya. And in that process, I will give it back to DTM Rupinder to carry with this. All right.
Slide shot is there. Yes, on the structure.
Over.
Okay. Now what I'm going to do is that before we go into the feedback session, and we will, I assure you of that, I want to go through some do's and don'ts when you are giving a speech. Let's start with the do's. So today we saw Soumya use a prop. My point is, and he used a prop. He made a prop out of my bag. Gotcha. My point is, use props only when they are absolutely necessary. Okay. Now, I have seen human props in speeches. I've seen people asking people to hold up a placard. A placard can very easily be hung on the wall or probably on a board, or it can be a standee. There are times when props can do wonders. For example, there was a speech in which there was a chair in the center. This chair was a personification of a person, let's call him Peter. And the speaker who was speaking about Peter, constantly seeking life advice from Peter. And he would say, Peter, tell me what you want me to do. And then he would stand behind the chair. He would become Peter and he would say, I want you to Peter, give life advice. There came a point in a speech where he turned around and he said, Peter, tell me what to do. Peter did not answer because Peter had, and he pushed the chair to indicate that Peter had passed away. Now that is an instance where a prop is necessary. The prop is necessary because it adds to the story. Muhammad Khatani, when he gave a speech, that cigarette, although it seemed irrelevant, in the end it added to his story. The flower, when Dhananjay Hetrachi gave a speech, added to his story. The button that broke on my coat when I was doing my speech added to the story. In the end, the coat played a very important part. When I threw it off, it added to the story. You have to ask yourself, and this is a very difficult question to answer, but you have to ask yourself, can I do this without the prop? And if the answer is 100% no, then and only then go ahead with the prop. Even if there is 1% chance that you can do it without the prop, do it without the prop. The reason for that is that you don't want to use the prop as a substitute for your speech. For example, when you are giving a presentation, you don't want to have every word of the presentation on the screen. You just want the key points. The rest of them you can elaborate yourself. In the same way, a prop is supposed to be that. Is it necessary? For example, do you really need a person on stage hold a placard like this? You can do it yourself. Do you really need somebody to change the slides for you when you can change it using a slide sorter? To ask yourself these questions. Probably, if you're using a presentation in the district contest, maybe your slide sorter would not have that kind of a range. So maybe you need a slide sorter at that point in time. There's a huge room. Your laptop might be 50 feet across, and this thing has a range of only 20 feet. You will need a person. You've ruled out all possibilities, and therefore you need. But then, the bigger question is, do you even need the presentation in the first place? Make sense? Second, body language. Note this down. Only 7% of what you say is coming out of your mouth. This is a study conducted by Albert Mehrabian, psychologist. He said 93% of what you're saying is not even coming out of your mouth. It is coming out of your body. It is coming out of your vocal variety. So try to engage all the senses, like I said earlier. Make sense? Just as you would want the audience to connect with you beyond ears, with their eyes, with their other senses, try to engage their senses. And the best way to engage the senses is to bring things other than vocal into play. Physical, eye contact. Okay. Now, there are things about vocal variety that you will learn. There's pitch, there is timbre, there is volume. I like to keep things simple. First of all, rate of speech, not too fast, not too slow. The first thing you need to do is find what your ideal rate of speech is. Everyone has different. Mine is 100 words per minute. Yours could be 120. Other people, it could be 150. But the point is that you need to know at what rate should you speak so that you are audible people, so that you are clearly understood by people. There are people, very good speakers, but they speak so fast that it is difficult to keep a track of what they're talking about unless you're really listening. If you want the audience to understand, figure out your optimum rate of speech that the audience will be able to properly comprehend you. Second is volume. Good measure is the person who's sitting at the last seat be able to hear the lowest part of the lowest volume that you can utter. And that becomes your new normal. That is the lowest you can go. All other sounds have to be at a higher volume. So if that's the lowest part of your speech, you are going, I don't know. And that I don't know should be your lowest volume so that it can be heard right at the back. Okay. Do not take chances with the mic. Sometimes the mic will fall. You will get 30 seconds grace. You will not get 30 seconds grace, by the way, if your mic falls. You will not get 30 seconds grace. So if anyone tells you that you will get 30 seconds grace, they're wrong. Technically, you should not. The only place you will get 30 seconds grace is when the timer messes up with the timing. That's it. Other than that, there is no provision for a 30-second grace. It's a technical glitch with the timing device. If the mic falls, you are now on your own. Do not look at the contest chair. Do not look at the chief judge. Do not look at the organizers. Just continue as if nothing happened. And if you can adjust your mic and get it back up, well and good. But it should come across as natural. Third thing, pauses. Why are pauses important? Let it sink in. How long is a pause? You know what rhetorical questions are? You think I'm stupid? That is a rhetorical question. You're supposed to answer that. How do you decide that a question is rhetorical? The answer lies in 0.75 seconds. In 0.75 seconds, the human brain decides whether or not to frame a response. If you can time it to 0.75 seconds, asking a rhetorical question and then waiting for 0.75 seconds, that is perfect. Otherwise, wait more than 0.75 seconds. Some people will respond, but so be it. Pauses must be for at least 0.75 seconds. At least. Anything earlier than that, people will have difficulty comprehending what you're trying to say. It goes for the rate of speech, it goes for pauses as well. Last but not the least, stressing upon the right word. For example, Rupinder is taking us out to lunch. Rupinder. What did I stress on? Means someone said that Rupinder is taking us out to lunch. Now, Rupinder, of all people, Rupinder is taking us out to lunch. Okay. Someone else wants to try with the second word. Rupinder is taking us out to lunch. So, what does it convey? That earlier he was not willing to do so, but now he is. See how the context changes. Third word. Who wants to go? Wait, Rupinder, you are going to take us to lunch anyway. Anyone else? Rupinder is
Taking us out to lunch.
Rupinder is taking us out to lunch. Means Rupinder was earlier going to order it, but now he's taking us out. Okay. Fourth word. Us out to lunch. Earlier it might have been implied that he was talking about someone else, but turns out that it was Rupinder is taking us out to lunch. To lunch. To lunch. Earlier it was dinner or breakfast, but he's taking us out to lunch. See how stress changes things? What doesn't change is Rupinder is taking us out to lunch. Right?
Getting you lunch.
Yeah, I like Nando's. Okay. So this is how you can use vocal vernacular. There are other ways also. You can vary the pitch, timbre, lot many other things. But to start with, this is a very good place to start. Particularly the stress and the pauses. Control the rate of and your volume you should be good. Okay, I deliberately mispronounced it. People were always getting the wrong idea. But the meaning stays the same. Please keep it simple. Do not complicate things. Unless you are in an audience that can understand what you're trying to say. For example, I was called to speak on cryptocurrency. And in many ways, the worst person, depending, because I don't know anything about cryptocurrency. I read it up and I went to give a 1 hour keynote on it. And I felt that I had impressed a sufficient number of people. Actually, I did end up impressing a sufficient number of people because somebody came out to me and said that you so lucidly explained it that it's become very clear for us. And I was like silently congratulating myself. Yeah. Considering that I prepared for it 2 days ago, I have probably pulled off a coup. And he says, can you talk about FEMA, Foreign Exchange Maintenance Act? I was very happy. I was like, oh, cryptocurrency, foreign exchange maintenance, why not? Yeah, sure, why not? I'll do it. So one day I'm sitting in Mukesh Thakur's office, right? And I look at two thick, it says FEMA Ready Reckoner Volume 1, FEMA Ready Reckoner Volume 2. And my question was, Mukesh, since when did Ready Reckoners become so thick? The Ready Reckoner is supposed to be what, like 1 or 2 pages, maximum 10 pages, right? And why is it in 2 volumes? And then I realized the kind of monster I had taken on. But the fact is that it started with that keynote on cryptocurrency. I was able to speak in a language that everyone understood. I gave up on FEMA because there was no way in hell I could speak on FEMA in a language that everyone could understand. And Mukesh then volunteered to do it for me. Unfortunately, that university has been delisted. Mukesh is not getting this chance. Also, that ends well. Okay. For a 5 to 7 minute speech, why do you want to write a 6 minute speech? Okay, you fumble. Okay. Or the opposite happens, you don't fumble. It goes to 5 minutes. Or something else happens. Exactly. The audience will respond. They will start clapping. They will start laughing. Again, you don't want to walk into their laughter. You don't want to walk into their claps. You don't want to walk into their because you want them to have their fill. And then you continue. 6 minutes, more than enough. I did not follow this in Chicago. My speech was ending at 6 minutes 30, 6 minutes 45. And I took a lot more time. The audience responded. I hit dot at 7 minutes 30 seconds. And at that time, I was scared that I would be disqualified. I'll be the laughing stock of District 41. I've been the only person out of the 106 who got disqualified. 1 second more and I would have been disqualified. Instead, I came second. Do I regret not making it to the final? No, I don't. Because 30 seconds ago, I was scared that I would be disqualified on time. Lesson learned, prepared a 6 minute speech. Do not go beyond 6 minutes. For me, 600 words. For you, it might be different. Make sense? The fundamental mistake that everyone makes. Define your own stage. So, people from Baku, show of hands. Okay, this is your stage. You're comfortable with it, right? Let's say that you go to Denver this year. In Denver, the stage starts from 20 feet this side. goes up to 20 feet this side. You've practiced your speech on this stage. What are you going to do? So what I did was that I created my own stage. My stage was 3 steps. My left, then 3 steps. My right, then 3 steps to my back. This is my stage. I don't care if the stage ends, if the stage goes on to the very back. I don't care now. This is my stage. I'm not going to go beyond this. I don't care if it goes 17 feet this side or 21 feet that side. This is my stage. I'm going to stay within this. Okay. Why is this important? This is the reason why people who perform at area are not able to do well at division, or people who perform well at division are not able to do well at district. Stage changes. Their speech, in their speech, where they're supposed to take 3 steps to make a point, they end up taking the step more. They've practiced it so much with 3 steps, it's become muscle memory. The moment you take that 4th step, everything goes out of sync. So define your own stage. That is why I had that one. I had that grade 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. For me, that works. You can have it from 1 to 16. You could have it from 1 to 10. So you've got front row. What you do is that when you're telling your stories happen in the background. Your stories happen in the background. When you're giving your message, you come right up to the front. Because the message is where you are connected. And you want to stand here, reduce that distance between the audience so that you are able to connect. Okay. Practice anywhere and everywhere. You have no idea where I practiced. Why me? Shahid will tell you that I was practicing sitting in the back seat of his car on his headrest. I created a stage on his headrest. I placed my hand there. That here I say here I'm going to say this thing. Here I'm going to say this thing. I was practicing in my bathroom while taking a bath, and I had my parents and my wife knocking. Why are you saying why me inside the bathroom? But create your own stage. Once you've mastered your speech, nothing else, your hand works. This is where I say this. This is where I say this. This is where I ended. This is where I go. Create that stage. Practice it. Just write it down. I'll answer it. Have question answer session because it might get answered. This is why I'm not having the feedback session right now, because you will yourself realize where you were going, where you were making mistakes. We'll have that as well. Okay. You know, how many of you want to win the World Championship of Public Speaking? So do I. But Neha, let's say that you and I are in the same division. Do you want to contest or do you not want to contest? You will. There were a couple of people, and I will not name them. They requested me not to come from their division so that they could make it to district. And to me, this is stupid. There's nothing but stupid. Because if you are going to contest those 12 people on stage, you will never be able to contest. You will never be able to contest. You want to contest? Contest with Mohammad Katani. Contest with Dhananjay Hetrapani. Contest with every world championship that has ever been there. Because if you can contest with them, then district, area, division does not matter. And more importantly, it is about giving your best speech and addressing the audience that is there, not the audience that is going to be there at some point. I got knocked out in area this year. Does that make me a horrible speaker? Probably. But the point is that does that stop me from trying next year? Should I stop trying just knowing that probably Rupinder is planning to go to Paris next year? Should I stop contesting? He's a better contestant. Should I stop contesting? No. Stay positive. Come here on stage, have your fun, do your best, go back, satisfied that you did your best. Once you've done that, trust me, results will not matter after that. If you see that picture where I won the second prize, I'm the one celebrating. I'm the one celebrating because I missed disqualification by 1 second. And I had my cousin sister looking at that photo and saying that, who's the one who came first? I said, this guy. Iski maa mar gayi hai kya? I mean, why isn't he celebrating? I said, I don't know. I'm just celebrating because I came second. Right? Own your speech. People will come and tell you to make some changes to your speech. And there will be times when you will take their advice and you will make changes to your speech. And that will mess your speech up. Do not go back. Let that person that you gave me this idea. It is your fault. It is not their fault. They were not giving that. Who was giving that speech on stage? Own your failure, just as you would own your success. If you got a winner's trophy, you would have owned it, right? Own that. No mistake. It's not their mistake. They gave you an idea, but it's not your mistake. This is probably the best advice I can give you. Start getting out of your club if you want to be successful. Go to other clubs, give speeches there, or just attend meetings there. I know Rupinder is trying very hard to resurrect Division C. The biggest problem with Division C is that no one goes out. And he'll probably kill me for taking names. But there are 3 clubs. There is TCS 6, Kronos, Tapan Toastmasters, all in the same building. 2 of them are struggling. All it takes is going out. If your club is struggling, tell other clubs, have a joint meeting with us. We need role players. We've got roles. We've got speech slots. That is the best thing I can offer because people are looking to complete the speeches. Ask them to come over. If there are 4 people in the room and they are having a meeting, 6 people coming from outside, 10 people, it's a wonderful meeting. Suddenly that meeting takes on another dimension. It will happen only if you get out. Start going to other clubs. I've set a target that I will attend at least 1 Toastmaster meeting every week. I will perform a role once every month. I've set this target for myself. Do that. 1 meeting every week. So if you miss your club meeting, doesn't matter, but at least go attend a meeting elsewhere. Even as an audience member, get to listen. And by the way, some of my best topics, they've come from table topics. Remember, somebody gets a table topic and you wish, oh God, this had come to me. The question is, what stops you from writing a 5 to 7 minute speech about it? You were earlier looking to give a 1 to 2 minute speech and you're saying, I would have said this, I would have said that. Nothing stops you from writing a 5 to 7 minute speech about it. And that is what happens when you get out. So please do get out of your club. Now, don't walk into applause or laughter. I think we've covered this earlier. Don't offend. How many of you are married? We are the lucky ones. You're alienating the unmarried ones. This is still okay because people get it. A lot of jokes are on husband and wife. I think women are not good drivers. You've alienated women. And a few feminists. You've alienated a good part of your audience. Okay. Don't offend. Two years back, a lot of people indulged in this. Not think of below the belt humor. Of all things, what does it show? It shows you're desperate. It shows that you're so desperate for a win that you'll go to any extent. Toastmasters is not about winning, it is about succeeding. Sarah Khan, I don't know how many of you have heard that name. Tara Khan, she's a finalist this year, finalist this year. She's a public speaker. She said to me, Rupinder, why do people contest? There are experienced people experienced speakers who come to Toastmasters. They join Toastmasters knowing that it is a platform for public speaking. Yet they speak. And they say, okay, you know what, I'll just attend meetings. And then the international speaking contest happens. And suddenly everyone wants to contest. But here is the thing, it is a $60 trophy that you're getting at the end of it. That and free airfare. That's it. Is all that? Is all that for winning? No. It is for succeeding. So people indulge in below the belt humor from time to time. It is an act of desperation. Please do not do that. Okay. How many of you have backed out of role? I backed out once in my first meeting, Toastmaster meeting. I was the first speaker. And I said that I will not be able to speak first, I will speak the last, and I swapped places. Please do not back out of an assigned role. Please do not back out just because somebody else is coming. Own the stage. And this is probably the most important lesson. Do not plagiarize. Does anyone not understand what plagiarize is? Do not lift content. Do not copy other people's content. I had the horror of my life when I went to a club's first meeting. A speaker came on stage, pulled out a flower. Many of us are like this flower. And the mentor of that person was a very good friend of mine. I looked at her, and this guy has the audacity to plagiarize Dhananjay Hetrachi's speech, speak it word for word on stage, and ask me to evaluate him. And I went on stage when I was evaluating him. I was seething with anger. But I told him that in your speech you said that you went to prison. I don't understand how you went to prison and yet AIG employed you. What kind of background checks is AIG doing? And please don't tell me you're Mike Ross. You know who Mike Ross is, right? He's a fraudulent attorney who has a photographic memory and he becomes a lawyer and creates chaos. Yeah. Okay. So please do not plagiarize. What will happen if you plagiarize? What is the biggest thing that could happen if you plagiarize? Disqualification. Disqualification is the least of your problems. Disqualification is the least of your problems. Trust me, disqualification will be a blessing. You know why? Imagine that I am plagiarizing a speech. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You guys are judges, right? You know that I'm plagiarizing. First thing you'll do is you'll start marking me down. You will not raise a protest immediately. You will say, I'll see how this goes, but I'm already getting marked down on originality. Right? That is the first thing that is happening. Now somebody says that, okay, this speech is plagiarized. Rupinder plagiarized the speech. Let's call him in. I get called in. I'm presented a case. Rupinder, this is what has been brought to us. Tell us, what do you have to say? I give my defense. Two things will happen. I'll get disqualified. But if I don't get disqualified, the judges have already given in their rankings. They've already marked me. Where I was supposed to come first, I might be coming third or even worse than that, even if I don't get disqualified. That is what is the worst thing that is going to happen to you. Does that make sense? Yeah. Now, I would want us to go through each one's feature. The better could start reading out the names. Let's have a round of feedback. Because I also took some notes.
The first condition was Gaurav.
Okay. Gaurav, yeah. Anyone has feedback for Gaurav? What they wrote? based on what you just saw? Let's just go with recommendations right now. Let's not go for commendations. Recommendations. How can Gaurav improve? Okay. He was probably stammering because he was delivering the speech literally extempore. We can overlook that. With practice, it will be okay. What do you think?
He should face the audience.
He should face the audience. Yes. You are not maintaining eye contact. You are maintaining eye contact with the floor. Okay. You are in love with the floor. Floor isn't in love with you. So maintain eye contact with the audience. What do you think? You or did you not take notes?
Yes, eye contact.
Okay.
Body language.
Okay. What do you think? Yeah, but he ran out of time. He ran out of time. What about you, Arjit?
I contact on the stage.
Eye contact on the stage. What about stage?
He was not using.
What part of the stage he was using?
He was just standing there and just thinking over it.
He was standing over here. Maximum. Yeah. Two things wrong with that. One, he's obviously not using the whole stage. Two, if you're going to start using the stage, you start from this side. You start from that side. Human beings have a tendency to think in the clockwise direction, left to right, not right to left. Yeah. Start from here. The transition happens here. What was it?
I want to understand why it is important to move around the stage.
Let's say that you're giving your icebreaker, the story of your life, as icebreakers go, right? For example, my icebreaker was the heroes in my life, right? So my first hero was obviously my dad, celebrated mathematician. I wanted to be like him when he grew up, so I told my story here. My second hero, well, as I grew up, I developed an interest in cricket. My second hero was Kapil Dev. He helped us win the 1983 World Cup. Then I moved on to Azharuddin. Okay, then the match fixing scam happened. After Azharuddin, it was Rahul Dravid, and then it is Dhoni. What have I done? From my father to Kapil to Azhar to Rahul Dravid to Dhoni, I've created a timeline on stage. Watch your timeline. That is the advantage of stage movement. One of the advantages, right? The second advantage is in a large hall, in a hall like this, for example, I can address audience here. I can go across here and I can address audience here. Now, when you address the audience, the way to address, if you're standing over here, address this part of here. Okay, so what you're doing, stand over here. If you're going to stand over here, start over here. Try to be as much on the edge as possible. If there is some audience on this side, ensure that they don't see your back. That is the most criminal thing that you can do. Do not let them see your back. Of course, eye contact. No putting. It's not allowed. There's no problem with that. Nobody's going to disqualify you for standing like this and delivering a speech, or standing like this and delivering a speech, as you were taught in schools. Nothing wrong with that, but your hands can do so much more. So utilize them. Okay, we're done with Gaurav. Next one was Vidya. Okay, feedback. Let's start with Neha. Okay. Okay, face expression, facial expression. Okay. Yeah, facial expressions. Okay. What else? What do you think? He was not using the stage properly. He was just standing in one place. What do you think, Soumya?
technologically used ended quite early. Used much of the time there.
Okay. Although some would say that ending early is better than ending a couple of seconds late, but fine. Which is fine. You should ideally end around the yellow flag only. Between yellow and red, if you end, it's perfect. Again, extempore, bringing that energy, not always possible. I think Soumya gave a speech that was more prepared. He might have done it earlier. That is why it would be more natural. Otherwise, Soumya is a genius. Okay.
I have a question regarding this.
Yeah.
When I give, I get this. What is more effective? So be more energetic.
Start with natural. Start with natural. Because if you're trying to be unnecessarily energetic, then you're trying to be someone else. Okay? Neha can dance, I cannot. If you ask me to give a speech on dance, I'll give you a very theoretical speech on dance. Right? Okay, what else? Other feedback for him? What about you, Gaurav? Feedback for him? Okay. Moving on. Next one. Yeah, Mansi. Feedback. Let's start with Vidya.
I don't get much of still, I would say that it was going a little bit of monotonous. So I could not start with.
See, let's not go into monotonous because you did not have time to develop your speeches. Otherwise, it would have been better. So, monotonous, stammering, nervousness, we can keep that out. But we're literally giving extempore speeches. What about you, Gaurav? No? Okay. Okay. Yeah, stage movement and body language. You want to come here and explain? Please, let's have a round of applause.
Mansi, when you were standing here, you like was so you can either stand like this, don't do this. That I can explain there. You can explain more.
Another thing, and I don't have anything against female speakers, but they have this habit of adjusting their hair while they're on stage. It can become distracting at times. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Exactly. That. What else? Any other feedback for him or for her? Okay. Yeah, she could have been loud. She could have been a little louder. My only thing was that a lot of you started your speech with good morning. Nothing's wrong with that one. I don't typically start my speech with good morning. Second, after 12, it is not good morning. Okay, let's move on to Neha. Any feedback for Neha? See, I was timing. I wasn't taking feedback.
My side, yeah, she started her speech in Jamda, but she did not finish his story. So that is a core thing.
So time was a factor.
Yeah, but if time is a factor, then it creates.
My sense was that she told more than one story in her speech. That was my sense.
A story from that, and then I connected with what I do.
So that is what the thing is, because you have 3 minutes, maximum one story you can include. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes, yes. But I found your speech very riveting. Okay. After Neha, we had Ganesh speaking. Feedback for Ganesh.
He can take some.
Yeah. Yeah, some process. Also, specifically with regard to your content, you are speaking about how to do. There is no wrong way of doing the right thing. So you started with you started with drugs. I was expecting the continuity to be with there with drugs. Suddenly, out of nowhere, match fixing came in. While they are related, I'm a cricket buff, so I could understand what you were talking about. A lot many people would not be able to do that. So just be careful. Maintain that context. If you're going to talk about match fixing and drugs, then mention match fixing and drugs in your opening itself. That there are some evils like match fixing and drugs. I'm going to give you some examples of that. So the audience is prepared for what is coming next. Any other feedback?
Context.
Yeah.
Integrity in sports.
Integrity in sports. Yeah.
Both are about integrity in sports.
Both
We
of
could have
them are.
mentioned that in the beginning, and we could have then connected drugs and match fixing.
Okay. To further elaborate what Rupinder was saying, in 1984 Olympics, 1984 only, Ben Johnson broke the world record. 9.79 became the fastest man on earth. 2 days later, it was found that he had taken drugs. That is one story. The other story was that he cheated on his wife. Okay, it was such a hue and cry. People dug into his private life, and they would say that this person took drugs and he cheats on his wife. He's not a family man. The point is that one instance has got nothing to do with the other. But basically, a narrative was unnecessarily created. Okay. The public would either think of him as a person who cheated on his wife or as a person who took drugs. But if you look at Shane Warne, exact same thing. What do we remember Shane Warne for? The one captain Australia never had. The best captain that Australia never had. Okay, and Dipinder gave up on life. He ran off. Who was our next speaker? Archit. Feedback for Archit. Again, extempore. So we can't do much. Probably you would have written, if he had time to write a proper speech, you would have written a better speech. Yeah. That's one thing. What else? Yeah, that is what my point is. That when you are trying to convey school time, no one goes to school holding the bag like this. No self-respecting school student in today's time will do that. Yeah. They'll either sling it. They'll basically be very stylish about the way they carry the bags. That will be slung over like this, or they'll do something with it. But carry it like a office briefcase. Come to think of it, even the people who carry laptops, they don't carry it like an office briefcase. They either sling it around the shoulder or it is from the side. Okay, that is one thing. Anything else? Energy again, extempore. I can right now probably I can let go of energy. I can overlook energy right now, given that it was an extempore speech. And then we had our last speaker, Soumya. Body language. I think the story was well constructed, but body language was one issue. Second, it was a really good speech. The energy was so high, but the moment was like more expression to you that could have taken back. Other thing is that when you said, "Come on, bullet, hit the ball," that happened right at the beginning. I don't. Bullet is a very unusual name. Number one, right? It took some time for me to sink in that it was actually the name of a person. Probably some context around Bullet. Why was he called Bullet? Did his parents name him Bullet? In which case, I would be very afraid of his parents. Or did he get the name Bullet? Right? So that. Okay. Why do you say that? Why do you say that?
I connect naturally with the
Okay.
it was in an artificial way.
Okay. Seemed artificial to you. Seemed made up. Okay. That is one thing that you can work on. This actually was the 40-second slide. Remember how many slides I said there were in my speech? 43. So this is the part where you would applaud and say that I'm a wonderful person. And now that I've managed to extort some applauses out of you, this is also the part where you get to ask questions. So I'm open for questions. Yes, Neha.
You mentioned that in the beginning that we and can get so much
Mhm.
there will be flag like this.
Mhm.
So I want to ask that when you want to inspire, so what basically set a goal when we try to what exactly we want to do. So
Inspiring is the general purpose.
yeah, inspire.
Specifically, how do you want to inspire?
So I want to ask you, sometimes we just want to inform about something. Like we have knowledge.
Mhm.
So that it does have a message.
Mhm.
So why a no message is no speech?
I'm not saying no message is no speech. A speech that you're delivering typically in Toastmasters or in a contest needs to have a message. It needs to have a takeaway. That is what I'm saying. Otherwise, a stand-up comedy routine is also a speech.
Giving us some information about art, and it does not have a message, but it is giving something.
It has to have a takeaway. Why am I listening to your speech? Is the question. Why am I listening to your speech? Why am I investing my 5 to 7 minutes? How do you justify that? Which is why. Make sense? Yes.
You mentioned that but is it also other incidents?
Yeah, but you might be wandering into the plagiarism domain, so be careful of that. Just be careful of plagiarism.
Or not an experience, I'm citing an incident.
Sure, sure, why not? Yeah,
If it is a third party incident, you might want to ensure that that third party is not a well known person. You would not.
Stays within 25%
Correct.
of the content.
So if you want to say you want to talk about the life of Sachin Tendulkar, it could be a very small part of it. You cannot narrate your entire speech on Sachin Tendulkar. That would be plagiarism.
Mhm. You can do that. There's nothing wrong with it. But say that A, I am citing this. This incident reminds me of. And B, you also talk about the learnings that you got from it. And C, you ensure that it stays within 25% of your speech.
Very
Okay. Yes. Neha. Mhm.
Where you mentioned that you could not get it checked from someone.
No, I did not say
There
that.
is something.
Somebody will suggest something to you, and then you decide to incorporate it. And then if it doesn't work, do not go back blaming that person that you said it and I incorporated it and it did not work. I did not succeed because of it.
The message was
Never not to get it checked. You asked Rupinder how many times I got my speech checked. Yeah. Yeah. I never said never get it.
Everybody in the district had something to say about his
Yeah.
speech to him. Everybody.
Ultimately, you have to decide what you want to say. Okay. I mean, but own it. You took a suggestion from Rupinder, you went on stage, it did not work out. Do not come back and yell at Rupinder. You told me this thing, it did not work out. If it works out, and, yeah, and honestly, I will tell you this, that even if it works out I'll not be there to take credit for it because you performed it on stage, right? Yes, you had a question. Mhm. Yes. I mean, if you go to a humorous speech manual, every speech needs to have a message. They are specific. They say that you start with a humorous story, you end with a humorous story, you have tragedy in between. So needs to be an underlying message. And the best message is satire. Okay.
If you could raise your volume so that the people online hear your question as well.
I'll repeat your question.
That's the one point, you know. Corporate nowadays, talent is
Critical skill, yes.
critical skill. And
See, the point is that most of the corporate presentations they start with a word called so. So we have this, so we have that. Instead of that, people are looking at you telling a story around those numbers. The graphs, they tell a story. They want to hear that story. Want to see that. So one example could be that you worked on a project, tight deadline, always a moving target, delivered on time. That is one way of telling it. It's not an anecdote. Say that a person was supposed to upgrade something and it did not get upgraded. He fell asleep. He woke up. He realized he had 2 hours to upgrade, and only he knows how he upgraded. It brings a level of personalization. There are people. You know? Many times when Toastmasters conferences are held, you will hear somebody like Rupinder come up and say that, let me congratulate this person because she stayed up at 2 a.m. till 2 a.m. in the morning to get this done. Or I stayed up till 4 a.m. And I feel like asking Rupinder, what were you doing in the daytime? Why 4 a.m.? Right? But the point is that it adds a level of personalization to the story so that people get to know the kind of effort that has gone in and they'll appreciate it more because they'll be able to relate it to their efforts. Right?
So I have a question. You come to maybe in your company. There are two approaches. Bigger presentation, nice presentation, just practice it, how you present it. One is that gather as much information so you know what was the you know the message, interact with the and I think that would be the better approach.
Totally up to you. Totally up to you, whatever you're comfortable with. For example, these days when I give my speeches, I'm not writing complete speeches. I just write the key points that I'm going to mention and then I try to wing it. I've been doing that for the last 7 or 8 speeches. I'm not actually preparing my speeches, I'm just writing down the key points. Now deciding what I want to speak about the key points. At some point, I'm also deciding whether I should incorporate this or not.
So this happened to my last presentation. I had get a few slides. And I had collected a lot of data. And I remember the first time I started interacting with the I found that presentation was much better than I must prepare.
Again, totally up to you. Some people like to go in prepared. Other people like to keep it open because it gives them a better chance at answering questions. Otherwise, you can answer the questions only in the context of what you memorized. So it gives you that flexibility. But the point is that keep in mind the audience attention span. Not really. Ultimately, when you're presenting, even when you're presenting, you will be having a message. Why are you presenting? Even in a speech. In a speech, every message, every sentence that you're speaking ultimately will converge towards a message. The level of interactivity. So in a presentation, you might say that you might allow question and answers.
7 to 10.
How does it make a difference? Question. It's almost one and the same thing. Only
Can take much questions, presentations, but you can't take much question on your like, as you can throw 10 to 15 questions.
okay. How about I give a 20-minute speech and I have a 40-minute question and answer session after that? What he's saying is that presentation and presentation, story and giving a speech could be different. They can be if you allow questions in the presentation. That is one thing. People will not be able to question you while you're telling a story, but you can establish that rule. For example, today I established a rule that you're going to have questions. Let's park them towards the end. Why? Because there might be people online who might be wanting to ask questions. So they will be at a disadvantage. So we established that rule. You can also establish that rule if you want. You can also say that, okay, I'm going to have questions right towards the end. Just write down your question, park it, and we'll have about 15-20 minutes. I'll answer your questions there. And 9 times out of 10, the questions that you are asking, they get answered during the presentation or the story itself. Okay. Any other questions?
Stories in the body. What are the stories?
Your call, once again. Totally, again, I could say that's okay. But I'm not one of those 13 judges who are judging you. It's very subjective. While we try to make it as objective as possible, we have our measures and everything. It is very subjective. Right? You can't do anything about that. I try not to take a risk at all. I do not quote anyone in my speeches. I play safe. It's totally up to you. This girl who won this year, Ramona Smith, she sang a song. In District 41, that would have been a protest. But she sung a song. She's not cited the source. Yeah. No. So see again, in District 41, they're very particular. So I've heard protests being raised. No, there is no difference in the rules. It's just that in District 41, we tend to be more competitive, and than the others, we try to win every way possible. So we try to raise protests on every possible thing. I was at a contest where a protest was raised, and I asked them for the source. They said, go on the internet and find it yourself. Okay. I mean, that was ridiculous. Anything else?
At the point I just making, I think so. How to relax.
On stage,
Yeah.
Relax after you come back. See, the point is that convert that heaviness into energy and throw that energy back at the audience. Okay.
There's another question. The blocks.
Yeah. So again, it's totally up to you. I mean, if there was a podium here and I was giving a keynote, I could stand at the podium and give a speech. I can do that. Nothing wrong with that. But if you have the entire stage to yourself, you might want to use the entire stage. There's no rule book that says that, okay, if you don't use the stage, we will knock you down. Nobody says that.
Walking is on the stage is okay, but I want to go to walking.
It should be purposeful.
Okay.
You can't be. I went here. You can't be a pendulum on stage. Okay.
Apart from that, you should not have seen it 9 times. And coming in front to speak to the audience and doing that. There are the techniques and tips.
There are. You'll have to look them up on the internet, but there are lots of them. You'll find a lot of them. For example, we approach topics in different ways. Table topics, for example, we follow the Oreo approach. We give an opinion, then a reason, then support that reason with examples, and then opinions. So your opinion start at the center. For reason, you could go this side. For examples, you could go this side or in the background. right? Because examples typically tend to be stories. Another way of addressing a table topic, for example, is past, present, future. So timeline, or this versus that, tea or coffee. I like tea because I like coffee because tea, 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 coffee. Conclusion: I like tea or I like. Okay.
Yeah, I have seen people who are at the meeting, okay, I mean, put on account, yeah, just moving. So, as you said, that to be purposeful,
Mhm.
while giving open that particular role, they just move on the thing.
Again, it should be purposeful. For example, when I give my grammarian report and if I say that Rupinder used a word and I'll just, either point towards Rupinder or I'll walk there. That is one thing. But if you're just giving your report, holding your book, moving around aimlessly, it's distracting. I say ideally have three
Yeah,
stories.
we have three stories to that message. Or three stories. Then we move further. Uh, one story.
The story is complete in itself. Should ultimately drive towards the message. Let's say you're talking about Microsoft Office, Excel, PowerPoint, Word. So one story can be about Word, the other could be about PowerPoint, third would be about uh, Excel. Okay. Together they add up to Microsoft Office.
We've got a message from an online participant.
Mm.
So Rini Mahajan would like to ask, is it necessary to enact while delivering your speech in a speech contest or a normal club meeting?
I keep on getting asked this. Is it necessary to enact? Once again, think of the enactment as a prop and then ask yourself the question, is it really necessary? Can I do something about it or can I not do something? Can I do without it? The answer is that you can do without the enactment. Then please go ahead and do it without the enactment. Think of it as a prop. Okay.
Any other question?
Any other question? No? No other online questions? Okay, so I just ran off.
Wait for another minute for
Sure,
question to
I'm
come.
just saying, going to the slide where you say that I'm an awesome.
Can you share with the
Interview hacks. Sure, why not? So one thing, it is said that you can't use stage movement in an interview. But if you're sitting across the table with your hands on the table, that is your feet. And your hands can contribute a lot. Okay, so that is one thing. There are interviews where you will be asked to sit at a distance of 6 feet. The person will be able to look at you. They're actually looking at your body language, whether you're nervous or not, whether what is coming out of your mouth, does your body agree with you, it or not. So that is the reason why this happens. Yes, you have a question? No other questions?
All the questions online, yes.
Okay, thank you so very much. I hope this was helpful. I will share the PDF of this presentation. If you still have questions, feel free to reach out to me. Rupinder has my number. Okay, and he'll say so to every girl in District 41, but just ignore that. Thank you so very much.
I would like to thank the bottom of my heart on behalf of District 41 and its trio. Singh could take out time from his busy schedule and could come up, grace us not only by his presence but also by his knowledge. And that is what the best gift you can get from a person. Not only his presence but also his knowledge, the nuggets that of wisdom that he has got. And if we all can really understand and learn from his experiences. All of you have that seed of becoming a champion speaker. It's just now that you apply all that you learned from him. And also, I would like to thank all of you for coming here and investing time on yourself. And also to the audience online, thank you so much, guys, for attending this wonderful session. It has been a first for us as well. We've gone virtual for the first time as district. Um, I would try to say that I mean I might be wrong, but I guess it's for the first time. And thank you so much, DTM Rupinder, once again. I would ask you to please just hold back on a minute for this on stage while I just grab it for you. Because we kind of could not get a lot of time in planning and executing this event. So the first point was who we should call, and the first name that struck was, of course, Rupinder. Who better than him, because he's the reigning District 41 champion and the first runner of the semi-final CPS. So thank you so much from all of us in District 41. Hope you, I hope you keep spreading these nuggets around going forward as well. So this is a small token of appreciation from our side.
Thank you. Thank you.
So much. And
Can we come up here for a picture?
yeah, let's come for a picture.
Good, was good.
More elaborate than what we got in the
We had a lot of time here. Camera उधर. आज के दिन मेरे को भी बन जाओ. Find the camera.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Online audience, with that, we close the session. Thank you so much once again to DTM Rupinder. Thank you, everybody. And with that, lots of love. And we'll see you soon in another event.
To be Deepika Padukone.
It's more like the princess of England, probably. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Rab rakha. Bye bye.